And speaking of needing help, I've never met this young man that we're about to talk about. And I hate that I have to say the things I have to say. But God, Chris Jericho, they're in Cardiff, Wales. And he's wrestling Tommy Billington, the Dynamite Kid. And I know many people out there who didn't see this show were saying to themselves, what the f***? Apparently, this young man is legitimately, and you can tell facially, this young man is the nephew of Tommy Billington, the Dynamite Kid. And so he is wrestling as Tommy Billington, the Dynamite Kid. And he's wearing the jacket and the trunks of the Union Jack, right? On the trunks. That's what the name for the flag over there, correct?
The Union Jack.
The Union Jack. Yes, that's what I'm saying. He's got the flag there. He's doing the moves. He's trying to do the moves. Why would you do that? It's like calling yourself fucking Robert Plant and trying to go out and sing all the fucking Led Zeppelin leads, isn't it?
But you're bald.
Yeah. But what? Yeah, I mean, or Freddie Mercury. Hey, I'll be Freddie Mercury.
The thing is, there is a resemblance to Dynamite Kid, and he is in the family of the Dynamite Kid. The problem is the resemblance is Dynamite Kid like before he left England in 1976.
Well, no, not even that. No, because now be fair here.
Before he got to Calgary, Dynamite Kid.
No, never Dynamite. Because here's the thing. I don't know how old this young man is, but he's got a receding hairline. And I know Dynamite got a bit thin too, but it don't look good on this guy. But nobody looks like the Dynamite Kid physically. Even when he was thin, he was toned. But think about, I'm not talking about the 1984, jacked up, juiced up WWF Dynamite Kid. I'm talking about 1981 and Tiger Mask. Because he was, was he 5'9"? Was he 200 pounds? But my God, he looked like he could physically run from here to fucking Cleveland. He was and you could tell his physique. He was incredible, and his cardio and the snap he had and everything. This was live wrestling karaoke. The kid has no physique and the receding hairline on a guy who, without Dynamite's aura and personality and intensity, it looked like a kid being Dynamite for Halloween. Am I being too harsh on this?
Well, the other problem, and again, I've not seen him too much. I heard rave reviews about a match he had with Dax Harwood. I want to say in Calgary. I didn't see it, but I heard a lot of good things about it. I saw maybe
goddamn, with Dax Harwood.
With Dax Harwood, exactly.
Rave reviews about a fucking plumber that wandered in, maybe too close to the bone there, Moxley.
That's yet to be proven. Yeah, that was
some fucking accountant could wander in and have a match with Dax. But go ahead.
The other problem was, notwithstanding whatever talent he has or doesn't have, or whatever he'll be with some more conditioning and training or whatever it may be, Jericho looked like a giant next to him.
Yes.
And because of that, some of the back and forth shit looked ridiculous, because it's one thing if he's working with a Jack Perry or a Darby Allin, one of the slighter wrestlers. Jericho looked like a giant next to him. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Dynamite was 5'9", 5'10". This, obviously, Jericho's...
No, you think so? I would guess 5'6", 5'7", maybe.
No, he was the same height as Davey, wasn't he?
I think he was a little shorter than Davey.
Was he? Well, nevertheless, he carried it well. This kid looked like, I don't know. I think the real Dynamite Kid would have been appalled at him throwing the whiff punches. But that's the thing. You can't do... Nobody... Benoit could work like Dynamite Kid in many ways. In some fashions, his shit looked comparable. Has anybody else ever really gotten close enough to, it's not an insult or it's not something that's going to make people laugh at you to call yourself the Dynamite Kid? Whether you're in the family or not. Jesus. Anyway, the finish, of course, the kid's going to go to the top for the diving headbutt, but then suddenly just dove off on Brian Keith, who I don't think had done a goddamn thing. But it's a cool spot.
It looked
right?
good. He wiped him out. It looked good.
Yeah. It, of course, made no sense. He could have won the match. But then he goes back to the top rope without doing anything to Jericho. So apparently he thought he had some time. Maybe he could have pinned the guy. But nevertheless, he dives off on Brian Keith. He goes up to the top rope again, but he's in a different corner. And Jericho's laying there. And as he sees the guy starting to climb the wrong corner, you see his right arm as he sticks his fucking index finger out and points like, over there. And I saw him, but Dynamite Kid didn't. So Jericho then has to squirm on his back like an upturned turtle to fucking turn around so that Dynamite Kid can come off that fucking top rope. And Jericho jumped up and caught him with the code breaker, kind of. Because it looked more like he just jumped up and the other guy landed on him and they both fell in a fucking heap. But they called it the code breaker 1, 2, 3. And I wrote, Jesus. But no. I mean, I put it in music terms. I'll put it in fucking wrestling terms. If you're going to call if you were David Flair, and you had decided, no, I'm going to call myself Nature Boy Ric Flair, you would have to expect, if you can't pull it off, and nobody in the business today can pull off Dynamite Kid's shit without it being a bad homage, as we'll see later on with another top talent. Don't do that. Be his nephew. Use hey, there's Eddie Billington. And be the English Bulldog. I don't fucking know. Don't let Harry Smith fucking kick your ass, whatever. But you see what I'm saying.
Should they team him up with Harry Smith?
I don't think Harry Smith would want to team with this fucking guy.
You would have 2 different sized bulldogs for kids to meet.
Jesus Christ, you'd have a bulldog and a chihuahua.
Come on. Apparently, according to Wikipedia, Dynamite Kid's nephews Thomas and Mark have become professional wrestlers trained by Marty Jones. They were the Billington Bulldogs.
How old are they?
They don't have their own Wikipedia page as of now, so there's no way to determine that.
Well, if he's not in his 30s, then he's not very well preserved at all.
Should they book him against Tatsumi Fujinami?
Well, how old would Fujinami be now? About 70?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
It might be even. I don't know. I think Fujinami still might have a little edge on him. But I mean, no, it just Dynamite, for anything anybody can say good, bad, or indifferent about him as a human being, was one of the most unique, intense, incredible physical talents that was ever in wrestling. And you just can't follow that. You can't call yourself that.
He was a game changer. And I guess that's the issue. If you are a member of his family and you do want to get into the wrestling business and you do look like him, what do you do? Because, I mean, you don't want it to be like a Braun Breaker kind of thing where he's like, I'm not Tom Billington, I'm, Tom Steele, whatever the fuck.
Well, no, yeah, like I said, use Billington, but what's his name? Tom what? Tommy Billington. Tommy Billington. Well, then change your fucking first name. Acknowledge the connection, but don't do a karaoke tribute act where it's his style specifically and nothing that he didn't do. And because you don't do any of those things as well as he did. Not that anybody could, but this kid is not doing a lot of the things even passably. If he did his own shit, maybe he would look better.
Well, that's the thing. We've heard that in the past unfairly applied to people like, I think even FTR, where people say, oh, they're a tribute act to the old tag teams. I don't think it really applies.
No, that was incorrect because they were doing tag team moves from throughout the ages, but they were doing them as good or better. And that's, research and adaptation. But go ahead.
But in this case, it literally did look like a tribute act because he's wearing the same trunks. He's trying to do the same moves, even though he's not the same. He doesn't have the same build or anything. So, I don't know what they do with that.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure they're not going to do anything with it from now on, at least in AEW, because he worked the show, I would imagine, because he lives there. But
I thought they signed him.
What?
Hold on, Tommy
Oh,
Billington.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Hold on.
What the hell?
Hold on.
You gotta give me a hat so I can throw it on the ground.
I have a report here. Hold on, let's see what this is. According to Fightful, this is recently. The talent we spoke to also claimed there was NXT interest in the 23-year-old Billington.
23? Jesus Christ!
We asked about the whereabouts of Mark Billington and were told that he was injured in December during a match for Dungeon Wrestling. All Elite Wrestling has not confirmed the signing, and we have not heard if the deal is full-time or a tiered per-appearance deal. That apparently was reported by Fightful. So some sort of deal with AEW.
Well, I'm just going to say this, and we will move on because what?
They have the images here of the two other matches I guess he's had there, him against Dax and him against Takeshita, and in each one of them he's wearing different trunks, and they're the same trunks that Dynamite wore in New Japan. You would recognize them right away. The purple one with the star on the ass and the white racing strip, and then the red one with the white racing strip. The same trunk. So I've seen him wear 3 different pairs of trunks, and they were all Dynamites.
I'm just going to say this, and like I said, the segment's not over yet. The match was, but not the segment. But I had 20 guys in Ohio Valley Wrestling at one time that didn't have WWE developmental contracts that were more physically impressive, in better physical shape and cardio shape, more cosmetically pleasing, whether it be oiled or tanned or just young looking, of proper fucking size that could outwork this fucking guy and call it in the goddamn ring. And that is partially to make the OVW class look special because they were, but also to illustrate that no, there's nothing right now that I'm seeing there that they could not find plentifully domestically without having to fucking hire this guy and fly him across the goddamn ocean. What the fuck? All righty. And it's embarrassing for him. I feel bad for him because people are sitting there going, oh, bullshit.
I'm always critical of Jericho's work. In this case, like, that wasn't I was just blown away by how much bigger he was than him. And then when you see them competing with each other, it wasn't, I'm not saying a small guy. Jericho's a small guy. It's funny saying that about someone against him, but I'm not saying a small guy can't compete with a bigger wrestler, but it can't be like we're just equals doing equal shit to each other, and you happen to kick out, and I didn't.
Well, besides that, if he was the same height as Jericho, it had that same pale, fishy, white fucking body and looked like a goddamn corpse floating in a fucking river, Jericho could still beat him up. Jericho's goddamn skin is turned to leather, but at least it's tanned.
And why did he do the splash on the Brian Keith? Does that explain why at that moment did he decide, this guy who's not interfering, let me get him?
Some indie-minded fucking guy said, hey, it'd be a cool spot if I do the dive, or he does the dive off the top and blisters that guy and then does the dive and gets caught, and not thinking it made no goddamn sense whatsoever. So what you do is right before you're going to do that, you set up a spot where Brian Keith popped up and got foiled and nailed off or whatever the case, trying to interfere, and then he's there. Or perhaps he even might have succeeded in interfering, but then he's there. Whatever. But he just dove because it's cool. Anyway, so then Jericho starts cutting a promo on Hook, and Hook's music plays. And Hook comes out with the mummy wrap on half of his head and covering his eye, and the same stupid stocking cap on, just so we know it's not serious, because it looks stupid. And he gets in the ring and goes face to face with Jericho, and Big Bill, who has been there Up until a few minutes previous, when Jericho started talking to somewhere he fucked off, comes back and gloms Hook from behind and gives him a choke slam, and his whole head wrapping fell off. And there's where he was burned in the eye with no scar or discoloration or patch or makeup.
It popped off. He got the choke slam and it just popped off the mat.
Yeah, so... but yeah, and again, for one thing, if it's a legitimate eye injury, they're going to have a round gauze or whatever the material is, patch taped there. There would also, one would hope, be then the wrapping on top of that, and potentially, if you had an injury bad enough to be wrapped up like goddamn Imhotep, then there would be some scarring or trace possibly of disinfectant, or do they make iodine anymore? Something, but not just, no, his head's wrapped up and there's not a goddamn blemish on him. He didn't even have a teenage pimple.
By the way, what did he think he was going to do? There was 3 of them.
Well, no, the other 2 had got out of the ring and hid somewhere.
They were there. They were at ringside the whole match.
Yeah, but then they were gone, and then they were back. You see, he's over there now. So anyway, that happened. At least it wasn't his head that popped off from the choke slam.
Well, that would have gotten ratings.